Now, hi everybody. Really proud to introduce you to a great friend of mine for 30 plus years, Jared Kaban. Jared is not only the smartest person I know, Wharton grad, has helped me with everything I've done in my adult life. But he and I have been working together for 5 years or so, a lot of different businesses. No better person to bounce my crazy ideas off of. A lot of trust there, a lot of years with a lot of other people, and so welcome, Jared. Great to have you on, and answering my questions today.
I'm happy to be here.
So many questions I want to ask. Now's my time, but let's just start with. I talk a lot in the book, as you know, somebody, and so everybody knows. Jared, read every word of the book and helped me through the whole process of writing it. I talk a lot about working with friends and the history we have, and pretty much our whole adult life. We've been working together and worked with so many other hundreds, thousands of people. What's that been like working with friends and other friends, over the years for you?
Well, it can be a little tricky working with friends. You have to make sure that you're
With me?
compatible. Not you, of course, but you have to make sure that you're compatible in a working environment, and also, most importantly, that it is really a true friend. But some of the greatest professional experiences of my life have been just working with my close friends. It's like there's nothing like showing up to work every day and being surrounded by people who you care about and who care about you, and just the good times, and building something together, facing obstacles and overcoming them together. It's a bond that you create, even a bigger bond that you create, and all these memories. And just, it's so important to enjoy what you do, and what better way to do it than being surrounded by people like that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'll also look at the flip side of that. Where the things we've done and continue to do, there are constant failures and downs, and for me to even share that with you and be able, to do that. So in that vein, you and I know, and I share in the book that we had one, real failure of all those thousands of people we worked with. There is one that, a neighbor of mine that we're got into a business with, and quickly realized he wasn't the right guy. What did you take from all that? If you had a takeaway to take from that 10-year legal experience, what would it be?
Well, first, I don't know if I ever formally thanked you for bringing him into my life. Thanks for that. Um,
You're welcome.
but yeah, I think, again, we talked about it before. You just have to, as best you can, know who you're getting involved with, who you're getting into business with. And I think I was just, I know, during that whole process, just caught off guard by just the irrational kind of behavior. I mean, I remember, and I know you do too, taking, like, countless, like, long walks around the block and trying to talk through the issues that came up, and kind of feeling at the end like finally maybe getting somewhere, and then the next morning showing up to work, and just realizing that nothing had changed, and just yeah, it was, I mean, a crazy experience. I mean, like you, I think, put well in the book, like, it's never a complete failure if you learn from it. And I think we learned a valuable lesson in terms of in terms of you know who you want to work with, and just kind of dealing with situations like that. And I'll also say that, as painful as that experience was, and you mentioned a 10-year legal battle, which is crazy to even think that it almost took that long. Just the fact that we had each other to go through that, and to kind of, nobody else knew what we were going through. I mean, anybody who we told said, "That's crazy. I've never heard anything like that." But they didn't really understand what it was like to be in there day after day. And we obviously, you and I had that, and were able to kind of talk to each other in a different way because of it. And I think just having us both there to support each other through that made it possible to get through a difficult situation.
No doubt, for sure. I mean, one thing that, you and I take a lot of pride in is surrounding ourselves, whether it's our families and, friends, coworkers, people we want to do business with. We surround ourselves with positive, life-loving, people who respect other people. And unfortunately, with my neighbors, I'll say it right here, recorded to everybody. I apologize to you, Jed, for getting involved with him, but it was the exact opposite. I will say that, when I run into things and people in situations, I'm like, at least it wasn't that guy. But let's move on, and let's talk about this headgear. We made this headgear, for these girls lacrosse players, and I know I called you and told you when I came off the field, and we went through that long process together. Couldn't have done it without you. So want to say thank you also for helping me do something when it didn't seem like we could do, which is making something so cool and innovative and headgear when we had no experience doing that. But when we finally were able to pass those tests in that lab, I talk about it in the book. What was your feeling? I talked about the pride that I had in it, but for you, being in the room, being around it for as long as I had, what was it like for you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was an incredible feeling, but I think even before you talk about, the celebration of passing, I think it's important to kind of at least touch on, the obstacles and the failures that we encountered along the way. It's one thing too that you mentioned in the book that when we failed, that you felt like you let everyone down. And I mean that, it was tough for me to read because, I mean, that never, crossed my mind, or I know anyone's mind who worked with us on this. It was, just to set the background, I mean, this had never been done before. And I mean, you remember we were in those ASTM meetings, and, lifelong helmet manufacturers were stepping up in that room saying, this standard is impossible. Like, you cannot meet the standard. So, when we went to, ICS lab and drove to Cleveland, and thinking that we were going to pass, and then, failed miserably, and then had that, awful, like, 9-hour ride home, and then getting right back to it and going to Chesapeake, and knowing that we were going to pass because we had passed over and over again in the lab, and then somehow failing. And I remember, seeing the look on your face when we failed that, and just not knowing what to say. And I mean, I felt terrible, but just for you, I just felt really awful. But I have to say that, I admire so much, like, your positivity and optimism and just, like, persistence. And I know you went through a time where you had to mourn, and you had to, like, vent and what are we doing here, and kind of all that. But you got over that real quick, and then said, if you're still with me, we can do this. And and I believed it too. And just kind of, having your belief was, of course, I was going to take that ride with you. And I think also what's really important is that we never lost focus on why we did this to begin with. I mean, when you called me that day off the field, I mean, we said to each other, we need to provide something for these girls. Like, it's crazy that they're on this field, with that stick and that rock hard ball, and there's no protection there, and we never lost sight of that, even as with the obstacles. And that's one thing that I'm really proud of. So when we got back to the lab that day, and of course we felt like we were going to pass, but that
we had been there before.
Yeah,
we had been there before, right?
There were some bad feelings just stepping into that place, but then just seeing the monitor and that number, and just shouting it out, and just and then we're just, like, jumping all over each other and everything. And it was a great feeling, a sense of accomplishment and all that. So
Very cool. It was definitely cool. Just like you thanked me for getting you involved with my neighbor. Thanks for bringing me back to the failures too. So so next steps, which for me, making the headgear, it was awesome, but we knew there was going to be that next level behind it, which was the girls weren't used to wearing, and there would be, an implementation, of headgear in the game, the right thing. But I write a lot in the book about U.S. lacrosse and the barriers that have been put up to even getting information out there. I know it's a loaded question and a lot there, but what would you say about U.S. lacrosse and how they've taken the information, or and disseminate the lack of information that they put out there, and misinformation and things like that? You've been right there, just so everybody knows. LaxCon, I talk about a lot of U.S. lacrosse people, coaches, official come by, a lot of venom, for what we were doing. So what's your take on all of that?
yeah, there's a lot there. I think we knew that there was going to be some kind of transition period. I mean, change doesn't come easily in anything, really. So we knew there would be some resistance, but that first year at LaxCon that you discuss in the book, I mean, I was really like shocked that it wasn't just that people, didn't want helmets. It was just, like you said, I mean, some wouldn't even look at us. Others, like the venom that they spewed about it. You're ruining the game. You're, just the anger with it. And this was coming from like people involved in the sport for a long time. And, you're just thinking like we're trying to protect the girls. Like, where are your priorities? And that's kind of, and it's taken a while. Like the last LaxCon we went to, I felt like things were starting to turn a little. Like people were more up for the discussion, even if they weren't, in support. They at least kind of got why we were doing it and wanted to discuss it. As far as U.S. lacrosse, it's just been really disappointing to me, the lack of leadership on this issue. And not only the lack of leadership, but I feel like an agenda there to try to preserve their idea of the game, even when, common sense dictates that, these girls should all be wearing headgear. I remember when we put out our press release to announce that it was we were the first to pass the ASTM standard, and we now had headgear that was approved for play. And we cited in our press release a couple of well-documented studies that had, that had girls lacrosse as the second highest concussion rate in high school sports. And they attacked us for that. They called us out. They said those aren't good studies, and we didn't really understand what their basis for attacking the studies were. But then in stark contrast to that, when there was some kind of research report done,
a blog that somebody wrote.
Right. I think I gave it too much credit by calling it a research report.
Yeah.
But when somebody wrote a blog,
yeah,
talking about the effect of headgear in Florida on injuries, without any definitive data, and also talking about the flimsy headgear that was being worn previously before our headgear and the LX were on the market. And they blasted that study blogs to all its members as if that was really something.
Yeah.
Like, it just shows you what their motivation is and what their agenda is. And it's just really disappointing because, the girls should come first, and not some idea about what you want the game to be. And I think it just all comes down to common sense. If I'm telling you that I'm going to hit you on the head with a stick, or I'm going to throw a rock hard ball at your head, are you going to want to wear headgear on your head?
Yep.
You know, and I think it's really should be as simple as that.
Yep. And you know, like I do, we've talked to enough of those girls that it just takes one. It's, you know, it just takes one, and the damage that it does. So, no, we're definitely on the same page with that. And for me, it's amazing that you and I and, you know, so many doctors look at that blog and question that U.S. Lacrosse sent that out as some sort of science is just it's baffling. So, but you know, I guess you know, there's a lot of things obviously that we're doing here, and you know, as a last question, I know something that you and I have, you know, always had in common is we both grew up with our three sisters, both only have daughters, you know, six between the two of us. You know, a lot of the things that we're doing are to empower females, and obviously my, you know, 4 teenage girls, and your daughter's coming up on those teenage years soon. You know, it would look on the outside like, you know, look at these two guys talking about female empowerment. But I always say, if I, you know, with my 4 girls, you're 2, if we can't talk about it, then, you know, who can? You know, so what's for what we're doing in that way, and our mission in that way to empower, you know, female athletes and make things for, you know, female athletes that were made for them. You know, what's your takeaway for that? You know, being around your sisters and now your daughters.
Yeah. Well, first, I mean, the fact that you have 4 daughters is crazy to me. I mean, I have my hands full with 2, but you know, even when I was growing up, when I was younger, I feel like I definitely had like a sense that, you know, my sisters were all interested in sports. They all played, but I, you know, just early on, I realized that they just didn't have the same opportunities. They weren't encouraged the same way. You know, almost they were, you know, like the world was telling them that there were limitations on what they can do. And, you know, I just, it always bothered me. I mean, obviously, you know, you love your sisters, and like, I didn't want them to be told they couldn't do something. And I didn't, you know, I didn't like that, you know, my younger sister wanted to go play basketball and there was really nowhere for her to go. You know, so, you know, as much as I could, you know, I would, you know, take the girls to the playground and, you know, play sports with them and teach them what I could, and root for them in the stands when they were able to play in games. You know, so it's just really important, I think, to, you know, to make sure that girls know that they can do whatever they want. They can do anything that a boy can do, and they can do, you know, whatever they want if they put their mind to it. So, and then obviously, you know, now we have our daughters, and, you know, I feel like things have improved in that direction, but, you know, there's still a lot of work to do, and, you know, want our girls to be independent and to know that they don't need anyone else to take care of them. You know, that they can accomplish anything. And, you know, I want my girls, your girls, all the girls to understand that.
Yep. When we talk about what we did here, I always talk about how I feel like our job is to protect our girls until they reach a certain age. And when they reach a certain age, what our job was before that was to teach them and make them, you know, understand the need to protect themselves. And so far, if you ask me, we're doing a good job with our 6. They're all awesome. So yeah, Jay, you know, this is it's not easy for me to kind of wrap it up with you by you know, how to put into, you know, 15 seconds or 20 seconds, you know, how much I appreciate, you know, everything that you are, and you know, how close we've been over the years, and how my girls all just love you and the support you give them, and how much I love your girls, and and Risa, and you know, I know, you know, it's been a long time and a lot of business, and you know, with the exception of the neighbor, and even that, you know, you and I, you know, take it as the great learning lesson, and as business starters, it's just something that for whatever reason we had to deal with. And we did it, like you said, we did it together. We've always done things together, and, you know, ups, downs, sideways, you know, nights when I'm frustrated by something and I call you, you're just always so cool and calm and level-headed, and You're just such a great compliment to me. And one thing I know about you is you're a great compliment to so many people, loved by so many. And I always say, I say it about Julie too, but I say I've never met the person that doesn't like Jared other than the neighbor, but, if that person's out there, then they're clearly not likable, because you're likable, smart, funny, nice, great. Been such a great friend to me. I'm so lucky to have you in my life. And thank you again for everything, helping with this journey, with the book, and, helping from when we were kids, really, to, now being older men.
Much older, man. But yeah,
So
thanks obviously for saying all that. I mean, you know how I feel about you and your family and everything. And, you're a special guy. And I think people, people definitely want to be around you. You're just a great guy, generous, and so much more. And this, even with the neighbor, I just feel like what it was just such a bonding experience for us, to go through that together. And I think only made us closer if that was possible. Thank you for, really kind of starting this journey and really kind of leading us to where we've gotten. And I think, like I said, it wasn't easy, and, you really persevered, stayed positive. And I think that really helped us get to this point and stay focused. And also, I think it's really important that, the focus has always been on the girls. And I think that's a credit to you. And, and I know, from the beginning, that was, our number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, most important, that's why we did it. So
absolutely, the girls and their stories and what they've been through, from just, I can't say it enough, just one accidental, ball stick to the head that they have to replay forever and go through things. That's what keeps me, that's certainly what keeps me going. And I know what keeps you going. And, I'm looking forward to the day that these girls' heads are all protected and things are going to happen on the field. But, I'll know we did our job when U.S. lacrosse mandates, and I know you're going to see this through to me and with me. And
yep.
We'll have a couple of drinks together then.
Yeah, it's going to happen. I don't know when, but it's going to happen.
It's going to happen soon. And that's obviously why we wrote the book and got all the information out there. And thank you again for putting that all together. I think a lot of people, would thank you, because I couldn't have written the book without you and all the information in there. And I'm really proud of it, and proud that not only did it take somebody to make the headgear, but it took somebody to stand in front of it and say, this is the right thing for all these girls. And anybody who wants to debate it or come and talk about it, we're not going anywhere, standing in front of it, showing our faces. And, it's people, as people on the other side are showing their faces less and less. So that's how we know we're doing the right thing, and a turn's coming for sure. So Thank you again, bud. Appreciate it. And I will be talking to you later. All right, my man.
Sounds good.
Thanks, bud.
Yeah, take care.